firstly, happy Christmas, everybody. Today, there's no rest for the wicked. Today, it is actually Boxing Day. So I thought what I would do is, typically, my parents' Discovery 4 has had a little bit of a niggle, you know, like they do. And they've been lent a Range Rover Velar. So what I'd do is, I thought I'd bring my camera kit home for Christmas and I would go and do a little film in it. So here we are. This is the first time I've looked at it. This is the first time I've driven it. This is very much on the fly. It's very much it's a review of what I think it's like to drive it up and down a road a couple of times and then back, and you know, we'll see what we think. Initial impressions. It feels like to me it feels just like a really small Range Rover Sport. Now it feels a lot smaller in here than it necessarily sort of looks. It's a bit weird. It looks enormous in pictures, I always thought, because of the bulbous front end and the bulbous rear end. I think it's probably the best looking of all of the Land Rover products at the moment. And I can honestly tell you, this D275, this is the HSE version of that, so it's got all the swanky interior, it's got all of the technology, it's got a diesel engine that's producing, to be fair, plenty of poke. Feels really nice. Feels, yeah, it's for the real world, it feels actually really lovely. I know that there's the P400, which is the electric-y one, I think, the hybrid. You've got the 200, the 250. I don't really know much about them, so please don't quote me on, you know, numbers and figures and things like that. But what I can tell you is, in this guise, the D275, it feels plenty fast enough. It's got loads of low-down grunt and torque, and it feels like, you know, it's got that everyday usable power feeling. You ride a wave of torque. You don't have to thrash it. You don't have to, you know, we're at 1500 RPM now, doing 60 miles an hour, and it you know, it wafts along. It's a really lovely, I think this feels, I'd like to feel what all the other ones are like. I know there's a V6 that does 0-60 in 5.3 seconds, but I don't really understand fast Range Rovers. I don't really see the point in them. I think if you're going to have a Range Rover, you also probably have something fast also. I don't think there are many people that go out there and go, oh, I must have a 2.5 ton monster that does 0-60 in 3 seconds that just completely, you know, bullies physics into submission. I don't really see the point in those. Go and buy a cheaper Range Rover with a diesel engine and a sports car. That makes more sense to me, but that's just me. All of the interior in this car is, you know, Range Rover and Land Rover themselves at the moment have really stepped up their game with their interior. These two 10-inch screens down here, where all of the buttons are replaced more or less with a digital interface. It looks wicked. You've got pictures of the car down here, and it works nicely. It's a little bit laggy, but it does work nicely. And I think if you spend a lot of time in one of these cars, you could actually probably get used to it quite well. The steering wheel on this car, I love a Range Rover steering wheel, but I hate this. It's got a ridiculous bit of sort of what looks like exterior trim in the steering wheel, and to me that's not very comfortable to hold, firstly, and it looks rubbish, but there we go. That's each their own, subjective. I don't mind what people think they like, etc., etc. Someone that maybe lives in a house with pillars at the front door or something might like a chintzy little bit of silver on their steering wheel. The rest of this car is on, obviously, enormous 21-inch wheels because it's the HSE. They look amazing, and this spec looks great. It's a bit conflicted, the spec on the outside of this car, I think, because it's got silly rose gold bits all over it. It's got black wheels, it's grey, and then there are some weird sort of chromey bits on it as well. So there's quite a lot going on. It's quite an eyeful. I think if you could murder out one of these, which is the worst expression in the world, then you might be able to get away with it looking super cool and a bit stealth and really good, because obviously the front end is quite, you know, there's a lot of presence, and I like that. All of the digital interface, same as all of the other Land Rover products at the moment. The R-Dynamic, it's got you know, all of the things in front of you here. You can have satellite navigation. You can have the, you know, you can change it so that in dynamic mode it's all red and aggressive and all of that. Same with most Jaguar Land Rover products. It's a really nice car to drive. There's quite a lot of tyre roar, which was unexpected, but then it's on quite big wheels and low profile tyres. So it's not as refined as I was sort of expecting it to be. But I can honestly say that if you don't want to go and buy a big Range Rover that's, you know, full fat Range Rover, if you like, full fat Vogue, or, you know, even a Range Rover Sport, and you went and bought one of these, they are quite a lot of money. They start at £46,000 and they go all the way through to probably you can spec one for nearly 100 grand, I imagine, if you tick every single option. But this one is about the £65,000 mark, which is quite a lot of money, but for what else you get out there, I think it's quite well placed in the marketplace, because yeah, it feels great to drive. Let's put it in dynamic mode or something. How the hell do you do that? Oh, so we've got sport down here. No. Oh, you have to push down and then in. So we're in sport now. This 8-speed ZF gearbox that's twin to this diesel engine, it's got plenty of go. Around this corner. It corners nice and flat. You get a bit of a wriggle on in this. Yeah, this is a good car. A really good car. It's not something I don't think it's a car that I would ever go and buy personally myself, but I can see that if you have 2 children, if you want to bring things and need a big enough boot and have a dog, etc., etc., I think this car in absolute luxury could be a really good offering. The paddles are plastic, but they feel quite nice. They're quite big and they've got a nice bit of feel to them. It really wriggles on. It's nice. It's really nice. The interior materials in here, you've got some sort of this rubbery sort of stuff on the top here and on the top of here, which actually feels like it would stand the test of time quite well. And then you've got lovely leathers all over the place. You've got this perforated leather down here, which actually has Union Jacks in the perforation, which I think looks absolutely wicked, and is a really nice touch. If you didn't know it was there, you wouldn't notice. It just feels like a really new thing. It's absolutely brimming with technology, and all of the screens, but the climate control is all still on a little turny wheel, which I really like, and I liked that in the last Range Rover. You can, the way they put all this is in a solid state hard drive in here. It's all, dual core processors and all of that bump that, computer nerds will understand that I don't. But it's all very, very, it just feels like this car is going to stand the test of time. And I think even in 10 years' time, it will feel quite new. It's a really nice place to be. The seats are comfortable. The brakes and the throttle are very Range Rover. They're quite long and deliberate. They're not precision instruments, but they feel lovely to use. Here we go. There is a bit of body roll, but it's a big car. But it feels great. It feels like you can really get around. This is a very, very bad bit of road that I'm on now, and the ride is, fantastic. I'm pleasantly way more surprised than I thought I'd be. I really like this car. And normally, as you know, with Jaguar Land Rover products, if you haven't watched my Jaguar film, that I'm a bit down on that. This feels, like I say in that film, like Land Rover get the premium products before Jaguar do. They get to the parts bin first. And this is a prime example of that. It feels premium, it feels expensive, and it feels quite, I don't know, dare I say, a bit British and Land Rover-y. I like it. I've spent quite a lot of time in Range Rover Sports and Range Rover Vogues, and if you don't want that full fat Range Rover experience, I think this gives you a real insight into what that's like, but in a much smaller package. And I think that's really interesting for a lot of people. It's still a very expensive car, but it's a premium car brand, so I understand why they're expensive. But yeah, I'm very impressed. Good car. Well done, Land Rover. And happy Christmas to everyone. And may you all enjoy 2021 more than you've enjoyed 2020. And please keep coming back and watching in the new year. See you soon.